Tell people how you bought, who qualified you for your first house? And it was kind of like a tough loan.
No, it wasn't.
Because I
was the easiest client ever.
I wouldn't say you were broke, but you were like, you barely had enough money to buy the property. You didn't have a lot of money though.
It wasn't a lot, but I had enough.
Were you rich? A lot of people were worried about the recession we're in, and you were like, oh man, what about 2008? What if 2008 happens again? All these people had stated income loans, so they were just stating their income. So anybody from like 7-Eleven could, with a good FICO score, could just go to the bank and say, well, I'm a manager and I make 20 grand a month. And then they would qualify for any house. And they would buy like $1 million homes. And then they would have a bunch of roommates, and it was just a disaster. So now it's a lot different. People actually have to qualify to get a loan. Everything is full doc. So now it's more under control. In 2008, it wasn't bad, by the way. It was a huge change in the market. It was a huge correction. People that had a lot of reserves back then in 2008, they killed it. They thrived. Like, they took over. They didn't stop. I wasn't ready. I didn't have any reserves. I used to spend all my money I was spending money on cocaine, on girls, on parties. I don't regret it, by the way. I had a lot of fun. Lots of girls took me to meet this one, but that's a different story. Maybe a different topic for driven couples. But hey guys, welcome back to season 2 of Driven Couples. So I'm really excited here to be back with Syl. And today we're going to talk about real estate investing. Like, why is it so important to invest in real estate, to buy your first property? And, the number one thing that you have to ask yourselves is, why am I buying a property? Like, why do you want to buy a property? So most people want to buy a property because that's what you hear you should do. But you don't really know if you should buy a house. Should you buy a house for what? Should I buy a single family? Should I get a condo? Should I go buy a property in Cancun? Some people want to buy properties in Cancun.
As long as it's beachfront.
And I'm totally against that, by the way, buying the property in Cancun, unless like you're a billionaire and you're going to go buy a mansion in front of the beach, like Syl said. Like Puerto Rico has some nice, amazing beachfront homes, like mansions. I'm talking about at least $30 million homes. So if you're gonna go buy a beachfront house in Cancun, then great, because you're a billionaire. But if you're gonna go buy like a under construction home that's like 20 miles or 10 miles or 5 miles away from the beach, what's the point? Because Cancun, Puerto Rico, Acapulco, they have really humid weather still. And when you're away from the beach, it's like even more humid and hot. So you're literally investing in a small place that's not even close to the beach, and you're just melting away and getting all these mosquito bites. That we came with a lot of mosquito bites from Puerto Rico, because we just came on our trip. So just going back to our topic today, real estate investing. So the reason why Cancun is not like my favorite, Mexico, is because you can write it off, which we'll talk about it later. You can write that off. You cannot. If you buy in the U.S., you could take advantage of a lot of tax benefits, which we'll talk about. But that's the first thing. Why are you buying a house? Like, do you agree with that, Syl?
I do. And people buy for different reasons. Mostly it's to create passive income or to have their own home that is being paid off every month. The main reason. People want a home to live in, but we like to buy investments instead of homes to live in.
So the reason why we're buying real estate is not for the passive income. It is to not pay income taxes.
Well, that too.
So like us, for example, like my tax person told me, you got to buy X amount of millions in real estate
before the end of the year.
Before December 31st, 11:59 p.m. Before it turns to next year, because the X amount of millions that we buy offset the millions of dollars that we make in income, which if we buy enough, then we don't have to pay any taxes. And that's what the wealthiest people do. So and then once you buy the real estate, then you pull out money as a loan. Like you could refinance and cash out, and then you get all that money, which you could invest and buy more. And then you don't pay taxes because it's a loan that you take out. So you could literally just do that over and over and over again, make a lot of money and never pay taxes. So that's why I buy real estate. Like, yeah, sure, the passive income is cool, but it's not a lot of income. If you want to make a lot of income, then you do that in sales, you do that having a business, and that's how you make a lot of income. Does that make sense, Sylvia?
It does. Real estate appreciates over time as well. And it's a long shot. So you buy and hold, basically.
You're being very short. Like, people want to hear you.
You buy and hold, right? You buy and hold real estate. That's why. But there is some passive income that comes along with it. Tax breaks, benefits, obviously. And
so
the more you do it, the more you...
So tell people before, let's say people want to buy a house. So if you guys are watching this, make sure on the Zoom, you comment questions. That way we could choose you and you could ask a question. Now, if you're on the Instagram live, make sure you guys text that number so you get the link to the private Zoom so that you could get on the Zoom, go face to face, and we'll talk. You'll ask a question and we'll handle your question. Steph, you let us know when that happens, when we have a good question. Now, why don't you tell people, Syl, like, let's say they want to buy a real estate. They want to buy real estate. They want to buy a house. So what are the first steps people have to go and do before they go and look for houses? Because a lot of people, they think, I want to buy a house. It makes sense. And they say, well, they don't even know how much down payment. They don't even know what their credit score is. So what are, like, maybe the key things that you would tell people, hey, okay, now that you want to buy a house and you made your decision, these are the steps you got to take before actually just going to any open house and being like, oh, I want to buy this house?
So step number one, obviously, is getting pre-qualified. Once you get pre-qualified, you know exactly where you stand as far as your buying power. Every person is different based on their income, based on everything that, whatever income they're going to use. So there's different types of loans with different types of down payments. So, you know, just because there's a first-time buyer, 3.5 down, doesn't mean everybody qualifies for that, right? So step number one is get qualified. I can't tell you guys enough how many people are looking around and you don't even qualify because obviously you need to be employed for 2 years or you need to have sources of income that can be proven either through pay stubs, bank statements, tax returns. This is why now there's so many different types of loans out in the market for different types of buyers. So get qualified.
So tell people how you bought, who qualified you for your first house? And and it was kind of like a tough loan.
No, it wasn't.
Because I
was the easiest client ever.
But you weren't, I wouldn't say you were broke, but you were like, you barely had enough money to buy the property. You didn't have a lot of money though.
It wasn't a lot, but I had enough.
Were you rich?
Of course not.
So what were you, like, average?
Well, I had the down payment, 3.5 down.
So you were like, what do they call the average money people? Middle class, yeah. So you were middle class, right? Because a lot of people that are watching this, they're probably middle class.
Yeah.
So
I guess you could say I was a struggling realtor.
So you were a struggling realtor and you were middle class and borderline broke.
Yes.
So how did you get 4 units, like, from the start? Because people think that, I think most people think, hey, it's harder to get 4 units than to get 1 unit. And I see some people right now that they'll go out and buy an expensive car, or they'll go out and they'll get an expensive house, but they don't have units. And I'm thinking, like, man, and I'm thinking some people have different needs or different dreams in life. So maybe someone's growing a huge business, so all the money's tied into the business. But there's some people that are maybe upper middle class. Mm-hmm. Let's just say they're making 120 grand, and maybe the wife's making another, let's say 60 grand. So they're making total 180K, just to give you an example. And you could turn it around. That way you don't think that I'm saying that the girl makes less money. So let's just say the girl makes 120K and you have one of these stay-at-home husbands. and the husband's making 40K. So the husband makes 40K, the woman makes more money, 120. So total is 160,000. And I see these couples, and they go out there and they buy a huge single family home. And I'm thinking to myself, like, man, that's so stupid. And that's what I'm thinking. That's so stupid. And the reason why I'm thinking like that is because I'm a business guy. And of course, you could defend those people that I'm saying that's stupid, because maybe their dream is to buy a house with a pool for their kids. Okay, I get that. But if they had business knowledge, then they would say, like, you know what? Let me go get a 4-unit property. And then after that 4-unit property, then I'll go buy the house of my dreams. And it's different scenarios for everybody, because if you're jump starting a business and you grow it, and now your business is a multi-million-dollar business, 8-figure business, maybe your money's tied in there, but everybody has a different scenario. So would you say that buying a single family as your first house, when you're making around 160K combined, would you say that's stupid?
I wouldn't say it's stupid. Like you said it, it's priorities and everybody's different. Me personally, being in real estate, selling real estate, I always wanted to own real estate because I'm actually fascinated by real estate.
But you bought a 4-unit first.
I did buy a 4-unit because I like money.
So why didn't you buy a single family?
Because I wasn't planning. I'm not gonna.
Because that was stupid, right?
No, because I wasn't gonna go live in South Central, and yeah, that's why. So I bought 4 units because I wanted the.
So buying
passive
4 units
incomes.
was better than buying a single family.
For me, it was, yes, because I believe in passive income, and that's what I wanted. Whether it's $500, $1,000, $2,000, this property, in my eyes, I saw potential, and as soon as you qualified me, you said you have to do this. I did that, and I just did it. I looked for a property 2 weeks later.
When
I was in escrow.
When you do something and you get so much, you get such great results, you do it again. Like when you have great sex, you have it again, right?
Yeah.
So like you bought 4 units, and then after that you bought more units. Like
yeah.
you didn't say like, oh, now I'm gonna buy a single family. You kept buying units.
Well, yeah.
So why did you keep buying units if
just because
why not buy a house after?
Because I didn't want to buy a house.
But why not?
Because I just didn't feel like it.
You bought units again.
Because I like doors. Doors are money. It's rent. It's income. And it's a lot easier to answer his question to qualify for units rather than a single family home, because you can qualify for up to 4 units with an FHA loan because you are going to occupy one. It's still a residential property. 5 and up is a commercial loan. It's a commercial property. So it's easier because you're going to live in one, and then you have 1, 2, 3 rents that you're going to collect, that then it gets added to your yearly income because it is profit going that you're collecting every single month, assuming the tenants pay. And regardless, you're never going to pay that little. You could even end up paying $300 in that unit, and it's yours. It's appreciating. Mortgage is going down. You can always do things by refinancing or pulling money out. It's just literally the possibilities are endless. And I feel like real estate is like a kind of like a game. And people always ask, what's the best time to buy? I'm like, look, if you find a good deal, that's the best time to buy. It's in any market, anytime, anywhere, as long as the location is good, the property has potential. You know, you can buy it. Some people buy properties with tenants that pay very little rent. You know, some get evicted, some don't. Some remodel their properties, increase the rent. Like there's no one right way and one wrong way. It just
Bobby.
You kind of just keep going and going and going.
Very good. Hey, I'm finishing up a small podcast that I'm doing with Syl, the Driven Couples. Okay, I'll call you right back like in 30 minutes.
No worries, dude. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.
Who was that?
Speaking of doors, so that's Bobby Castro.
Tell him what he did.
So Bobby Castro has he has 2,000 doors. I could be off by a few doors, but last time I spoke to him, he had about 2,000 doors.
Imagine that.
So what happens is when you start investing in real estate, which is we're really excited to do that, but we were waiting till we got to a point in life where we created enough wealth. And let me tell you what I mean by wealth. So some people, wealth means like making $1 million. For us, it was very easy to make $1 million. We actually started different businesses, and every business made $1 million like this. Like first year, we broke $1 million. multiple millions like that. So to me, $1 million wasn't wealth yet. So we wanted to make sure that we grew our, for example, this company went from the mortgage guy to the mortgage guys to now we're in the process of TMG lending, where we're going to become the bank, which lends, where we lend our own money to fund the loans, and then we resell the loans, and we just become a huge mortgage lender. So that was a process, and then we got this whole space, the whole floor, which is our headquarters, and we are now licensed in Florida. We just funded our first deal in Florida, so.
Yeah.
So we wanted to grow this company and have it on autopilot and hire different departments and have this company run and generate lots of millions. Then we had Ambiance Realty that we also wanted to grow. We had Driven Enterprises that we wanted to grow. Now we're heading into Driven 6. We've had 3 Driven Business boot camps. We just opened an escrow company. So everything that we've built, it got to a point now where we created some really good wealth. So now, because we're making X amount of millions, now we have to buy real estate to offset the income. If not, we're going to pay a lot of money in taxes. So that's why now it just becomes fun. It becomes like a game. Like Bobby, all he does now, like he has a few things, investments. He invests in businesses and he has other things, but he sold his company for $1 billion. So he got a lot of liquid. He had a lot of cash. So now the game that he plays is, let's go buy more apartments. Let's go buy more doors. But what he did, Syl, is like he graduated from, for example, buying 4 units FHA, which is, FHA is a loan for owner-occupied buyers. You only put 3.5% down. It's very easy. Almost anyone qualifies for that. Your FICO doesn't even have to be high. So if you're making average income, you qualify for units, because when you buy 4 units, you have 3 units that are going to give you extra income. So those 3 rents, you're going to live in one. The other 3 rents count as extra income. So now it's easier to qualify for more. And you could buy 4 units with only 3.5% down. So that's 3% down, 3.5% down. Usually when you get your first 4 units, they're not going to be the best units. So it's going to be like a beat up Honda Civic, to give you an example. It's not going to be a Ferrari. It's going to be a beat up Honda Civic multi-unit, just so you get an idea. Beat up. So they're not going to be the best units, which are class A+. They're going to be like maybe in the D- or maybe D+. So they're not going to be the best. Now, once you get your first investment property and then you sell it later, or maybe you refinance and you buy more and more and more, and then over time they go up in value, maybe you start making more money and now you have more wealth, then what you want to start doing is you want to start buying class A buildings.
Yeah.
Which is like what Bobby and Bobby Castro, Grant Cardone, now they're buying like A-class buildings, which are really nice buildings. And those are actually places where you would want to live because they're really nice. They're like fancy, luxury. But when you start, you obviously don't start with buying these huge buildings. So now Bobby has 2,000 units. And what he's doing that we've talked about, so is now he's upgrading his building. So some of the buildings that are like less nice,
luxurious,
desirable, he's selling those and transferring the money to buy nicer buildings. So that's when it just gets funner and funner and funner. And then you refinance, pull out money. Then when the rates went down, they refinanced like at really low interest rates. So they cut down the mortgage payment by a lot. And the rents were still going up. So a lot of people created a lot of money through real estate.
Well, that's what happens when you don't over leverage, right? Your properties.
Yeah, talk about that.
Well, I just heard Bobby talking about it, and I thought it was interesting because that's basically how people fail, in a sense, in the real estate market. It's by over leveraging.
Why are you always eating?
I'm just craving this. It's so good. Since I can't drink.
Well, what do you mean by over leveraging?
Yeah, when you borrow too much on the properties.
To add to that is a lot of people were worried about the recession we're in, and you were like, oh man, what about 2008? What if 2008 happens again? So in 2008, people over leveraged. So in 2008, people were financing 100%. People were getting neg arm loans, which are loans where you were paying negative, the mortgage payment, and then the difference was going towards your principal balance. So your loan was not only over leveraged because you were financing 100% of the amount, but then you weren't even making the full mortgage payment. You were paying like half of it, and then the other half was going into your principal mortgage balance. Because back then, I don't know why everybody thought prices are just going to continue to go up forever. So then when prices crashed and went down, then people were really negative. Now they were paying negative payments. Then some people had arms where the rate was fixed for 3 years. When the rate became, because it was a variable rate,
it would adjust.
Fixed for three years. And then after the third year, it would adjust, go up, and then people couldn't afford the mortgage payment. So that was a disaster. And also, to make it worse, stated income. So like all these mortgage, all these people had stated income loans. All these people had stated income loans, so they were just stating their income. So anybody from like 7-Eleven could, with a good FICO score, could just go to the bank and say, well, I'm a manager and I make 20 grand a month. And then they would qualify for any house. And they would buy like $1 million homes. And then they would have a bunch of roommates. And it was just a disaster. So now it's a lot different. People actually have to qualify to get a loan. Everything is full doc. So now it's more under control. And I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, there was definitely a bad collapse in '08. Nothing like this market. What else?
What's the difference in this market between last time?
I mean, mortgages, you still have to qualify for them. You can't just say, hey, I make 300 grand and not have proof. So it was just a lot of bad loans. Like Ninja, that loan, no income, no credit, no assets, no nothing. Crazy.
I don't remember the Ninja.
Yeah. It was no nothing, basically. You didn't have to prove anything.
So, Syl, talk about, and Steph, let us know about the questions. So, talk about, Syl, a few months ago, not too long ago, people were making a lot of offers. So, let's say people were selling their homes, and then, let's say you're selling your home. You were getting like 30, 40 offers at once, and then you were asking for like, oh, you know what? I know my house is worth $1 million, but I'm gonna sell it for $1.1 million. And then you were getting offers like over that, and everybody was like all over your property. And you, as a seller, you were like, okay, well, you know what? I'm not gonna take this one. I'm not gonna take this one. I'm gonna take the highest and best.
It was a seller's market.
And it was a seller's market. So now what's happening is now prices have dipped. So now people are lowering the prices, and now there's a lot less offers out there. So how do you feel about somebody right now that wants to buy a house? Would you say it's a good time to buy a house, or would you say it's a bad time to buy a house?
I mean, again, it's always a good time if you have a need for it. Every family, every person, you're in a different place. So I don't know what you need, but if you need to buy a house, you go buy a house. It's a great time. Buyers have a lot more leverage. You can get a lot of closing costs help from the sellers, which is amazing. So if you were outbid a couple times in the past, that won't be happening as much because there isn't that much competition. There's a lot more inventory, which is great, and a lot more choices for buyers where you don't really have to settle for just any property. You can really go look at 10 and say, you know what? These are my top 2, and I like this one better.
So, Steph, let's close down the Instagram Live. You guys text that number. We're going to save it, so just save the live so that people can, and leave the number so they can text, and then you'll get the private link to the Zoom, and then we're going to continue with the Zoom. We'll answer questions here. One thing before we jump into the questions.
The Zoom is higher quality.
Yeah, the Zoom is higher quality. So before we jump into questions, make sure you save that, Steph. Text us if you want to get on the Zoom. By Instagram.
Bye, guys.
So before we jump into the questions, one thing that's important for people to know is a lot of people think that once they make an offer, like they're stuck to that house. Like they have to they have to get the house. And they're like, what if I what if I change my mind because the house is not in the condition I thought it was? So it's not like when you get married, you kind of have to, like, you're married. Like when you make
can get a divorce.
when you get an offer, you could get a divorce. So when you make an offer to a house, let's say you like it, but you're paranoid. Like, people that are, some girls that are paranoid, right? That they're always like, oh, but what if this? What if that? What if this?
Yeah. What if?
What if? You make an offer. So once you make an offer, then what's the process of, let's say maybe the house isn't in the condition you want it to be, and let's say because it's not, then you want to pull out, or maybe you want to ask for repairs. Like, how does that work, Syl?
Well, it's quite the process. So like I mentioned previously, you get pre-qualified, you go home hunting, you make offers. Once an offer gets accepted, meaning it's fully executed, they like the terms. If they don't like a term or the other, you'll get a counter offer, which then supersedes the actual offer, and that becomes, it, as long as everybody signs off. So once both parties sign the offer, it's a fully executed offer, then it becomes a binding contract. Then you would take your deposit that's on the offer and send it over into the escrow company that the seller has normally selected. And once that happens, you open up your inspections. When you open up your inspections, you have a lot of time to look at the roof, to look at the foundation, to look at absolutely everything to do with this property. We have to make sure title is clear. It's so many different steps. There are properties that, they have foundation issues. So then we hire a foundation professional company who's licensed. You always want to use licensed companies, because the worst things that I've ever seen is like a roofing company that's not really a company, it's not really licensed, basically a handyman without a license, and you have nothing to go on. So then they install the wrong roof per city codes into a property, and then that becomes a lawsuit, and it just gets really, really messy. So you got to make sure the home inspectors you're hiring are licensed, just like obviously your realtors are licensed, and that you're dealing with the right people, because if there is a problem with anything, the electrical, the plumbing, the foundation, the roof, then what you then do is you say, hey, Mr. Seller, I would like for you to give me a $20,000 credit so I can replace all of the plumbing in the house.
What about what about a price reduction?
A price reduction, you can do that as well. There's just, again, there's no rules. It's an all negotiation. Even your EMD, your earnest money deposit, you can literally say, hey, Albert, I'm going to give you this Ferrari as my EMD. There's no rules. You can make your EMD $1. Obviously, the higher the EMD, the more credibility you have intention with the seller on your intentions to proceed in the transaction and go through with the full process, because you have three major contingencies to remove. One of them is your loan, your inspections, and then your appraisal contingency. So it's always best practice, even if you're doing a cash offer, to get an appraisal on the property. The reason being is you don't want to overpay for something, and that actually happened a lot, a month, 2 months. This last year has just been crazy in the market, and people were overpaying and removing their appraisal contingencies, meaning if the property, you made an offer at $1 million and the property's worth $900K, you have to come in with that other $100K to cover that gap, to close up that gap. So there's time. There's normally 17 days. If it's a cash offer, it's a lot shorter. You have seven days or less to do all of your due diligence, all of your inspections. And what this means is anything that is wrong with the property, even a death, disclosures are part of your inspections, which a lot of people and a lot of realtors and buyers don't really take disclosures very seriously. But they're very, very important, because it'll let you know in the TDS, the SPQ, anything that has happened in the property within the last, I think it's 3 years. Even like a death, you have to disclose it within 3 years. So super important. Disclosures are super important.
Would you care if somebody died in the property?
I would care depending on how they died.
Why?
What if they were murdered? That's too sad.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with you?
I don't know.
Living there
It was
after?
just be weird.
They were murdered at
energy
before.
Like bad vibes.
I didn't know nobody has been murdered here.
if I do it wouldn't be within 3 years. So I guess that's like the time frame.
I mean,
it
like
doesn't
what?
matter.
Like when we had a war, like people were murdered like in different places.
I know, babe, but I don't like to think about that. You want to hear a story? So I know I did an open house at a property long time ago. I haven't done an open house in a very long time. And so I did the open house, and you know the neighbors are always the first people to come around. They want to, see what the property is worth. And there was the neighbor bought a property where they didn't disclose a drive-by shooting where a little girl was killed, which was like 3 houses down from the property I was holding the open house in. And that family ended up suing the sellers because they never let them know. And obviously the neighbors are going to disclose that, obviously. So, and it happened within that 3-year gap. So they just try to hide it. And in real estate, you have to disclose. That is the number one rule. You disclose everything. If something looks like there could have been a leak, you don't just paint over it. You have to disclose it because it could come up later on. And then obviously the company, the broker is liable, as well as the realtor, as well as the seller. So super important.
So before we jump into that question, Steph, really one thing I want to point out, if you are looking to get pre-approved, like maybe you haven't been pre-approved yet, and you're wondering, well, I make over $100,000, and then my wife makes another $100,000. Like, I want to get pre-approved to see how much you qualify. That's the first step. So we can pre-approve you. We're the mortgage guys, so we're TMG, and there's only one TMG, and that's us, TMG, the mortgage guys. So if you want to get pre-approved, reach out in the comments or send me a DM on Instagram. Contact Steph. Let us know that you want to be pre-approved. That is free. You guys just have to reach out. We have lots of loan officers that are here to help. So just come get pre-approved, and you'll know exactly what your credit score is. You'll know exactly how much you qualify for a house, for a single house, and how much you qualify for units, because you'll qualify for different amounts for each. You're going to qualify. The more the units, the more higher you qualify. So come get pre-approved, free. Just reach out to me, to Steph, or comment, and then you'll find out, and that way you're not like blindly shopping.
Yeah.
You know exactly what your max buying power is.
Or where you stand, really, because some people aren't ready today or tomorrow or a month from now or a year from now. Some people, it even takes 2 years, depending on the way you file taxes and so many different things, your income, your bonuses. So it's super important to get pre-qualified first. That is the number one step.
Because then we'll tell you what to do to be ready to buy like in 3 months or in 6 months. So another thing is that we talk a lot about real estate because real estate saved our lives, our business. Because when we started our business, like we would have gone out of business if we didn't have millions of dollars cash. So the way I'll explain it is I got a 3-unit, then she got a 4-unit. So she really wanted to marry me bad. And I always told her, no, we're not getting married. I'm not marrying you until you get your own property.
That is not true.
FHA. So that's why I got my 3-unit property and I financed it FHA. And then I told Syl, I'm not going to marry you. Not interested. Get your FHA loan first and then I'll marry you. Because once you get married, you only qualify for one FHA loan as a married couple. But if you hold off on the marriage, then I can get my FHA 4-unit property, and you and your girlfriend could get her 4-unit FHA loan for that property. So that is the best way to do it. Once you get married, you're fucked. Like you qualify for one FHA loan and that's it. If you're married, you could get divorced. And then if you get divorced, now you qualify again for an FHA loan. So now you could get 2 FHA loans instead of 1. So the trick is get divorced, get your FHA deals, and then get remarried later on.
Don't get divorced.
So people ask that though. So what if I get divorced? So if you get divorced, then you qualify for 2. So that's why we did it, and that's how we did it. And then we got more properties. And then when our business was about to go out of business because we were negative, we didn't have the reserves, we started selling one property, another property, another property, and with all the properties we had, we got over $2 million cash that helped us stay alive, and it helped us get through the hardest parts in business, because the first 5 years in business are the hardest. Almost no business makes it past 5 years. Most businesses may go out of business the first year or less, second year. So each year gets just way harder and scary. I'm talking about like you can't sleep at night. You wake up at 12:30 midnight. And you're so stressed. You want to jump off the balcony. You don't know what to do. You're pale. You don't want to eat.
No, stop
It gets very scary. So I'm talking about my experience. That's how I felt. It was very, very scary, and I couldn't sleep. I remember texting Grant Cardone, hey, it's 12:30. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I don't know what to do. Like this is intense. Like my business, like, is this normal? And he would tell me, yeah, it's normal. So then I would be like, okay, well, I got to keep going. But it really gets scary business if you don't have like the millions of dollars to as reserves, because it does get nasty. And before you make a lot of money and create wealth and blow up, it gets you go through a lot of storms that almost nobody can get through. So that's why real estate, I love real estate so much, because it did save our lives. And we had to sell every property. We got to the last property and all credit cards maxed out, like bunch of collections. I used up Syl's money. I maxed out her credit cards, and we had one property left. We sold this property, and then from there on, we just took off. So I love real estate. It has so many benefits. But remember, if you're in business, which probably would be it's going to be our next topic for next week on how to scale your business. But in order to scale your business, in order to survive in business, you need millions of dollars of reserves. Like, you need a lot of reserves. 3 years minimum of reserves. So if you want to start like we started, start with getting your first FHA property, get an FHA loan for your first 4-unit property, and build from there. Because when I got my first one, I was broke. You just heard Syl, she was broke when she got her first 4-unit. So that's how we started. But just because you're broke right now does not mean that in 10 years you can be super wealthy. So let's jump into the question stuff. And we got about 15 more minutes here.
Perfect. First question is from Albert Arias.
Albert Arias.
A credit line? Oh, I repeat the question.
So Albert said, is it better to get a credit line, or is it better to get a hard money loan? So quick question, Albert. So for the credit line, do you have a property right now, another property where you have a credit line with money available?
I have money available right now. I'm just like pretty much looking for a property where I can find a good deal on. And I'm just trying to figure out like what's the best way to go about it.
How big is your credit line, and where is that credit line from? Like, is it tied to real estate, or is it just a personal credit line?
It's a personal through American Express, and it's about 70,000. So I wanted to see what I can do with that.
All right, got it. So
California?
I love I love you doing the credit line, credit card thing, because like this is the way it works. In order to use that money as a down payment, what you have to do is you have to transfer that money to your bank account, and the money has to be there for 2 months.
2 months.
So meaning that when you submit your loan application to a lender, they're gonna look at your last 2 months bank statement. So it can be like a large deposit. So you would have to transfer that money to your bank account. Sometimes credit cards have like checks where you could write a check and put it in your bank account, or they could even transfer it straight to your bank account. Now that money has to clear, and you have to go through 2 cycles, maybe 3, so that you have your latest 2 bank statements show that money there in the beginning and the end, the beginning and the end. So now that's money that's been sourced there for 2 months, because that's what the bank checks, the last 2 months bank statement. So now you could use that amount as a down payment to buy a house. Now, if you want to buy a house cash, because maybe you're in another state
gonna keep
where
them.
properties are a lot they're very inexpensive and you could buy it cash with that credit line, then that's also another option. Now, if you want to get a hard money loan, that's also another option, but hard money loans are going to require you also to put a larger down payment.
Yeah.
Like 30%, 40%, and then the rate is going to be really high. So there's a lot of alternatives you have. But what I would do is first thing
Reach
is
out to us.
reach out. Where are you located? What state? What city? What type of property are you looking for? And get pre-approved based on your income, and then go from there. And now, if you don't report your income, maybe you're self-employed, so maybe you make 200 grand, but you only report 20 grand, or you report 40 grand, and maybe you don't qualify for the amount you want. Then once we analyze your whole credit profile, we could tell you, hey, look, this is where you qualify. We also have these other loan programs that they just require a bigger down payment, and they don't require tax returns. They base it off how much down payment you have. Obviously, rates are going to be a little higher, but there's a ton of different programs. So once we see your full credit profile and your assets and everything, we'll be able to tell you, like, this is your best option, or you have 3 options, and we'll go from there. You want to add something?
No, that's 100% what you have to do, because once we can see everything, your financials, your income, your personal situation, then we can present the top 3 options for you.
Because the one thing that I left out is if your credit score is strong,
Yeah.
and not your credit score, but if your credit score is high, but then you also have a strong credit profile, meaning that you have many accounts that you had open for a while. You have good credit history, because it's not only about the FICO, it's about like how many credit limits do you have available,
Yeah.
how many accounts do you have, how long have you had the accounts for. So if your entire credit profile is strong, then you qualify for better loan programs. If your credit score is messed up, for example, if you have bad credit, then that's when, okay, well, the only way is to get a hard money loan because my credit's messed up, but I do have some cash. So then that's when the hard money loan becomes like probably the best option. But if you could avoid the hard money loan, you could get a lot better loans that are going to have a better interest rate.
Exactly.
Steph? Awesome. So send us your information. Tell us where you're from, and then we'll help you out.
Ask them about Driven 6.
Make sure you guys go to Driven 6. Driven 6 is going to be September 30th, October 1st, October 2nd. So it's a 3-day event. For those of you that are watching this, Driven 6, we have Patrick Bet-David, we have Dean Graziosi, and many more. And Friday, what I like about Friday is that for the CEO tickets, people that got the CEO tickets, we're sold out on those tickets, the CEOs. If you want to get on the waiting list, we do have a waiting list just in case somebody can't make it, because we only have space for 100 CEOs.
100.
Not that we have only space, but we limit
It's
to
limited.
30 to 100 people because we want to keep it intimate and we want to be able to like spend time with you one-on-one time. So the CEOs, they come here on Friday, and you guys check out our entire operations here. Our headquarters, you guys check out our studio where we're at. We have a full bar, we have a gym, we have showers, locker room, a lot of things. So you guys come and check out our entire operations. Syl runs operations. She's great. And then we just show you the way we do things here. And then Saturday and Sunday, October 1st and 2nd, that's when we have the main Driven 6 event. So that's when you see all the speakers. And Friday is just a bonus for the CEOs, which I think is the best day. It's my favorite day because you see the business, how it runs, and you learn a lot. I'm a nerd when it comes to business. I love businesses. So Driven 6, September 30th is the Friday, and then October 1st and 2nd is Saturday and Sunday. And we're looking forward to seeing you all there. I can't wait. It's only 3 weeks and a few days away. So yeah, we'll have that Labor Day. We'll have a Labor Day special we'll announce later. So Steph, you want me to go over something, or you have another question you want to go through? All right. So Syl, when you find the house, and let's say you want to get the best rate. I know that we give our clients the best rates because we could shop, versus like, because some people they'll I get this question a lot. Hey, I already got pre-approved by Bank of America. Well, I got pre-approved by my credit union. Oh, but my rate's really low here. So can you talk about like how we as mortgage brokers, we could also shop the rates and make sure that they get the best rate?
Yeah, so based on different things like your credit and income, we can shop your loan with 30 plus banks. And what that does is it allows us to say, okay, this is the best rate for you, right? And rates change daily, really daily. So it's important to lock your rate, decide on a rate, and then just kind of stick with it. And the numbers just have to make sense. But we always get our clients the best rates. Always, always, always.
And we're approved with way more than 30 banks.
Way more. That's why I said
So
30 plus.
So you said 30. So
30 plus.
So whenever we find a new bank that maybe we're not approved with, we get approved with them. So we're always like thinking in advance, and we're always looking for new partners with lenders, so that if anybody can do anything, any type of loan, that's us.
Yeah.
So once again, reach out. We'll give you the different options, and then you guys can go out there and start shopping for a house. And also, what's really important is when you go and check out homes, make sure you just don't look at one house. What was your process, Syl? And you spend a lot of time with our top realtors. Like when they have a client, what's the process of getting them into escrow? Meaning when you lock them into a house, like how many houses do you have to go and see?
It depends.
Before you choose one house.
It depends. It really, really depends on obviously the buying power, the area, the demand. But I used to get people in escrow in one weekend, one day, first house, sixth house. It's that you can't really put a number on it. And if you only want homes with the pool, it's obviously going to reduce the amounts of homes that you're going to go look at, depending on the area. But it just depends. Some people fall in love with the first house.
What if you build a pool?
You could build a pool as long as the lot's big enough and you can, pull the permits for it.
You recommend building a pool, or do you want to buy a house with the pool already?
I mean, it just depends. I would buy it with it already. Or I would build it too. It'll add value to your home as long as it's permitted.
But building a pool, I feel like it's extra work, and
It is.
if you're not a builder or a developer, like why would you add?
Yeah,
I prefer to
sometimes
buy it
it's the
just
only,
already there.
Yeah, and then you can redo the pool also because it's already there. It's already permitted. But it just depends. I literally have gotten people in escrow the first time we went out on the field. And some people it takes a month. Some people it takes 6 months. Some people it takes a year. Just depends.
So if somebody watching this is saying like, why do I need a real estate agent?
You need a good real estate agent.
What if they don't want to pay the commission to a real estate agent? What if they just want
They
to go
don't
and
pay the commission. The sellers do.
So what if they just want to go and look at how homes at their on their own? Like, why are real estate agents so important?
Well, because a real estate agent, if again they're good real estate agents, the point of having a real estate agent is to make sure that you're gonna purchase a home and get you as much benefits from the seller as possible, like closing costs, like repairs if any need to happen once you're in escrow. And I mean, you're not going to waste a lot of time. I mean, if you're not in a hurry to buy, that also doesn't help, but it just depends. The market is so, everyone's different. There are people that they're being evicted. They need a house in 30 days. So you're not going to hire a shitty realtor that has no experience or is lazy, because there are a lot of lazy realtors.
There is a lot of shitty realtors out there.
There are a lot. They're not diligent, right? So what you do is the realtor calls, make sure the property's active, that it's what you want, where you want. You know, I've had clients that are like, no, I only want a 3-bedroom. I'm like, well, you don't qualify for a 3-bedroom. So if you would like to stay in this area, you're going to have to go with a 2-bedroom. The lot, if we get a big enough lot, you can pull permits and then we can add a bedroom. There's enough space to do it. And that's not only going to add value to your home, but you'll have the 3 bedrooms that you need, and you don't always get what you want. You get what you qualify for.
So we have
Some people
Ambiance.
can't
We have a
understand
real
that.
estate brokerage called Ambiance Realty.
Realty, yeah.
You're the inspiring person behind that, because like I started the mortgage guy,
Yeah.
and then you started Ambiance
Real
Realty because
estate,
you did real estate. I did mortgages. So that's why I'm asking you about agents, because we have a lot of agents. We started from scratch, and I remember you were the only agent. Then we hired like 5 or 6 agents, and we didn't really produce much. And then it grew, and then it grew, and then it grew. And now we have a huge real estate company
With a lot
Ambiance
of
Realty, with
badass
a lot
realtors.
and then we focus on the 1%ers. And what we do is we do look for a lot of people that are fresh, people that just got licensed. We give you guys we give you guys a shot, and some people don't make it, but some people like Brian's, for example. He was a bus boy 8 months ago, maybe it's 9 months ago now, and he already closed like 11 deals. A few of them were $1 million deals, and he's made more money already than with his he had 3 jobs, I think, and
Yeah.
he already made way more money with versus the 3 jobs combined, and all the stuff he was doing. So
Year to
he's
date.
he's having a breakout year. Just to give you an idea,
cute.
he just turned 22. He had no knowledge, no experience of real estate whatsoever. He just had a dream to one day become a realtor for Ambiance Realty, which is our company. He had it on his dream board. True story. This guy's killing it. But my point is, like, when people say, do I need a realtor, or can I do it myself? Can I sell my house as an owner, like for sale by owner?
You sure can.
Yeah, so my point is, though, like, my question for you is, if there's a lot of shitty agents that can't sell a house in an entire year. If you can't sell a house in 6 months,
Just find a different career.
that's shocking. Yeah, it's shocking. You shouldn't be a real estate agent. You should throw in the towel. 6 months. Now, when you have real estate agents with a license that can't sell a house in 6 months, in a year, then what makes you think you, as a just regular person that's not a licensed agent, what makes you believe that you are gonna do a good job selling your house or buying the house? So what I noticed is the 1%ers, like the agents that we have with Ambiance Realty that are killing it, like, what separates them? Like, what do you think, like, just 2 things that are different from those agents versus the other agents that can't sell a deal in 6 months, they can't sell a deal in a month? Like, because I think it's very easy. Like, if you were an
If
agent,
that's all that you do, yeah.
like, why can't you sell a house every month?
You should be able
So
to.
what do you think is the main difference? Because we have agents that have sold like a lot of homes in 1 month.
6 in a month, yeah.
6 plus.
7 in a month, yeah.
I think one of our teams
Guys.
alone sold over 10 homes this month. So, like, what makes these people different than the regular people? And also, right now, a lot of people are probably saying, well, right now the market is a little bit tough. I just said this team led by a guy, his name is Kyle, by the way, they had a record-breaking month where everybody on the team sold a lot of homes. They killed it. They had a record-breaking month for Ambiance Realty and for themselves in this economy. So there's always going to be excuses. But what do you think, Syl, what's the difference between an agent, when you meet an agent that's new, like Brian, for example? Like, when you meet an agent, do you know, like, when you look at them in the eyes, do you know, oh, this is going to be a good one? Oh, this is not good. This guy's going to suck. Oh,
Well,
this
you have
guy's
to
gonna-
have a good work ethic. Having 3 jobs is an amazing work ethic. And that has to be your number one focus, because people that try to do it part-time, I'm like, look, if you can't do it full-time, how are you thinking you're going to do it part-time? Because you're either all in or you're not. And that's the only way. Self-improvement is super important. Customer service is key.
Like, for example, Bryant, because he just turned 22 and he was a busboy 9 months ago. He always, one thing that I noticed about him, besides being a extreme work ethic, is I always see him coming to the trainings.
Yeah.
And he could be like, you know what? I made it. I'm good. I'm making money. I don't have to show up to the trainings. I'll just join the trainings via Zoom. Or I'll watch the replay. Like, he's always here in the trainings in person.
Yeah.
He drives here, which takes time, then stays for a bit. He asks great questions, and then he goes out there and he produces. And then I see a lot of people that don't produce, but they're never at the trainings.
Well, they can't show up, yeah. Showing up is the easy part.
And then I see these people, like, they can't produce, but they go to every party. And
their priorities are not right.
Like, first of all, if you're going to party, then you have to have something to celebrate for. Like, why are you partying if you're not winning? So I think that for me, one of my principles is, like, I like to drink or party if I'm celebrating something, if I'm winning. If I'm not winning, I don't want to be going to parties. I don't have time to go to parties.
Yeah.
So once again, just to end our first episode of season 2 for Driven Couples, today's about real estate. Next week it'll be a different topic. So comment below, let us know what topics you would want us to talk about. If you like this, share, subscribe, like, comment below. Let us know what topics you want. Maybe we didn't answer a question that you had. Let us know. And also, just to finalize this real estate topic today, is, like, I had a mentor that saw things and knew things that I didn't know. So the reason why we started getting multi-units as opposed to single-family homes was because I bought single-family homes. When I was 23, I bought 2 homes, 2 single-family homes. And I lost them in 2008. Why? Because I bought them high, and then prices dipped. I got bad loans. I was over-leveraged, which you talked about. And then guess what happened when the market collapsed in 2008? The tenants stopped paying me rent. So I lost that home because I depended only on one rent. It was a single family home. So they stopped paying the rent. I couldn't pay the mortgage. I wasn't even doing good. The market was bad. That was a real bad market. Like, right now,
It's not.
It's a market that's very interesting. If you have the right leadership, this is going to be takeover time. But in order to take over, you don't only need a good leader. You need a good leader with a lot of reserves. Because I've been in this situation. In 2008, it wasn't bad, by the way. It was a huge change in the market. It was a huge correction. People that had a lot of reserves back then in 2008, they killed it. They thrived. Like, they took over. They didn't stop. I wasn't ready. I didn't have any reserves. I used to spend all my money I was spending money on cocaine, on girls, on parties. I don't regret it, by the way. I had a lot of fun. Lots of girls took me to meet this one, but that's a different story. Maybe a different topic for Driven Couples. But I was out. I was like the Wolf of Wall Street, but Mexican. A lot of fun. But I don't regret it because it was a lot of fun. But I wasn't prepared because I didn't have reserves. I spent all my money on all that shit. So when the market changed and corrected, I lost everything. What happened right now is that now that the market is correcting again, it's a huge opportunity because I have a lot of reserves. That's why we're expanding. That's why we invested in this new office, this new building, the entire floor. We built our studio. We built our bar. We have our gym inside here. Like, you guys have to come check it out. So there's huge opportunities right now, and I'm really excited. Right now, it's the worst time to start a business, especially in this industry, real estate or mortgage, if you don't have the reserves. It's really scary. It's going to get really scary. But for us, we're really excited and pumped up. So I'm getting more into business. But my point is that if you are watching this right now and you don't own any real estate, and you see the market right now, it's getting very, very exciting, because I see prices right now that are dropping, and I also see now not 30 offers anymore. Now people are getting
3, 4.
3 offers, 2 offers.
Sitting on the market longer.
Properties are sitting in the market longer. So that tells me that this is a great time to go out there and buy good deals. Somebody offered me a property for 1.8 million, fixer upper. Now, after dropping to 1.7, 1.6, 1.5, 1.4, now I might get it for a lot less than that. And guess what? This property is not, it's private. It's privately, like they're selling it privately. They haven't announced it yet on the MLS where everybody is going to see the property, and then you're going to have people offering and bidding, and you're going to have the bidding war. Like I see these deals right now. So my advice to you watching this is, if you have a little bit of cash right now, if you're barely getting started, right now is the best time to go out there, find the best real estate agent. Reach out to us. We have Ambiance Realty. Reach out to Syl. Send her a DM. Send me a DM. Follow Syl, please. She gets really excited when she gets more followers. You're at 18.7?
Yeah.
She's at 18.7 thousand followers. She gets very excited when you guys follow her.
God.
So please follow her. Make her happy. She's having a baby. She's really excited when she gets more followers. Reach out to her. Reach out to me. Reach out to Steph. Comment right here. Send me your information. That way I can connect you with one of our top agents, which everyone is amazing. And then that way you could start looking for your home. And if you are not in the best place right now where you want to be financially, we weren't either when we bought our first properties. Mm-hmm. So start with a 3-unit, start with a 4-unit, start with a 2-unit. Hey, worst case scenario, if all you can afford is a 1-unit property, go get a single family. Buy it right now. Get a good agent that's going to go and negotiate for you. And they're going to be like, hey, you know what, seller? These are not the times to get too cocky. Like now, we need some credit for my buyer because we want to do a 2-1 buy down. You might be asking, what's a 2-1 buy down, Albert? I heard prices went up, rates went up. Now prices are coming down a little bit, but rates are still high. So you could get a 2-1 buy down, which the way to do it is you ask the seller, you have your agent, hey agent, my realtor, go ask the seller to give us some credit to do a 2-1 buy down. What does that do? That gives you a lower rate for the first year, a lower rate for the second year, and then your rate gets back to the original rate at the third year. So this 2-1 buy down, it'll give you a really low payment the first year. It'll go up a little bit the second year, but then by the time the third year comes, the economy is going to be way better. Your property is more than likely going to appreciate. You're going to pay down some of the mortgage. It's a great way to get a good deal right now, still get a good rate, and then in 2 years, in 1 year, and 3 years, when the rates come down, you refinance that loan. Now you have a good rate. Now you got a great deal right now because you negotiated. Prices came down a little bit. You're catching a deal right now. You're getting a property at the right moment, and then you're going to buy and hold. Most people are like, wait, when is the best time to buy real estate? Now, because real estate, you buy and you wait. And then when you wait, like for us, all our properties went up in value by a lot. And that's why we made over $2 million cash by selling our properties when they went up. And it's not the best thing to do because we should have kept all our properties.
But
we needed to sell our properties because we couldn't afford to keep our business running. So we were forced to sell them. Yeah, I would have liked to keep them, but we couldn't afford it. Our business was dying. So we had to sell them. So start right now, because let's just say that in the next days, in the next months, Maybe next year you have an emergency. Maybe your dad is sick, your mom is sick, and there's this surgery that you need. You need 50 grand, you need 100 grand, and you don't have that money. What's gonna happen? You have a real estate you have a property that you could sell, and then you get the 100,000, the 60,000, whatever you need. You refinance, you cash out money, and guess what? You save the life of your mom, your dad, your uncle, whoever that is. But if you don't do nothing right now, guess what? I'm pretty sure that in a year from now, you're not gonna have any more money. You're not gonna have any more savings, and you're not gonna have a property. So make sure that right now, if you're just waiting, go buy a property, go buy some real estate, and hold it, and just keep it there. Pretend you don't have it.
Yeah.
Rent it out, buy it, live, get a roommate. I don't know. There's so many different strategies. We're here to help you guys. We want to give you guys value, help you. So reach out to us. We want to help. Hopefully this was a good value for you guys. Much love. We're excited to be back. This is our first Driven Couples episode, season 2, episode 1. We just came back from Puerto Rico. We're a little bit tanned, and we still have a little bit of jet lag. But we'll see you next week. So next week we're gonna do Driven Couples in Spanish,
And then
the following we do Driven Couples in English again. So what we do is we do the same. We do the same topic in Spanish, then English, and then we'll go to a different topic, Spanish, English. So every other week we see you guys here. And any closing words from you?
That's it. We love you guys.
Later, guys.